This is a town somewhere. Let's call it Oak City, although that's not its real name. Oak City is a thriving American town, growing steadily. The people who live here are honest, church-going American folks, just like you and me. We're like that fella there, Joe Turner, born and raised right here in Oak City. His daughter's a war widow. She and her little son, Johnny, live with him and his wife. Joe owns and operates the Turner Machine Company. It's not very big, but Joe's never had any strikes or trouble in his plant, and his business has been pretty good for some time. Joe's pretty proud of his town. Give him half a chance and he'll tell you about it. How proud he is to live in a real American place like Oak City and have good American friends with whom he can relax and talk. Friends he never gets tired of seeing. Like Ed Rowe, editor of the Oak City News, and John Hanford, a plant superintendent, one of the most popular men in Oak City. Having lunch with old friends like Ed and John is always a pleasant break in Joe's busy day. But Joe Turner has other friends, too, like his next-door neighbor, Nick Brown, talking with that gentleman who's wearing glasses. Nick used to be a lawyer, but he got interested in politics, and now he'd rather win a political election than a legal case. This room is the headquarters of a political party known as the American Voters League, but you folks can call it the Democratic or Republican Party if you want to. In this story, it won't make any difference. Nick is a mighty smart man. They say he knows as much about what makes an American town tick as anyone, especially Oak City. Yes, it's lunchtime now, on a day that could have been yesterday, or tomorrow, or it could even be today.
I shouldn't be eating this, believe me.
Well, I don't worry. I'm all out of shape anyway.
Well, a little exercise wouldn't hurt either one of you.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Nick.
I want you to meet Bill Halloway, our state chairman.
Oh, how do you do?
Joe Turner.
Hi, Mr. Turner.
John Hanford.
Mr. Hanford.
Yes, sir. Ed Rowe.
Hi, Mr. Rowe. Sit down, Jim.
Thank you. Bill's just down from the state capitol to help us with our campaign.
I thought I might put a little life in the old party.
And Bill's just the man to do it. Did you read his speech at the
Sorry,
last
Nick.
annual...
If Mr. Holloway will pardon us. But you know, we never discuss politics. At least not at lunch.
Oh, sure, Joe, sure. No, some other time.
Mighty nice to meet you, gentlemen. I hope I'll see you again.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you, Holloway.
Well,
No dessert, Joe?
sorry, boys, gotta run. Oh, thanks, Ellen. It's my grandson's birthday today, and we're giving him a big party.
You're not going to tell us you've been invited.
Sure am. And here's my ticket. It's a genuine toy sand loader that really works.
And if he doesn't like it, you'll play with it yourself. Huh?
So long, boys.
So long, Joe.
Happy birthday to Johnny! Oh, there was a little boy, and his name was Johnny. He was Grandpa's boy. Hey, where is everybody? What's the matter?
It's Johnny. He's sick.
Sick?
I tried to call you. We've called the party off.
Did you call a doctor?
He's on his way. What's that?
Oh, sand loader. Johnny? Johnny?
Hello, Grandpa. What's that?
That's a real sand loader, Johnny. See? You turn this handle and the buckets go up to the top and dump down that chute. That's the way they load the trucks and then they drive away. Do you like it?
Thanks a lot, Grandpa.
Here. Now you can keep your eye on it. And when you're feeling better, we can have a lot of fun with it. That's the engine that makes it run with a real gear shift, just like the real ones. You'll be up soon, and I'll get some more sand for it, too. What is it, Charlie?
I'm afraid it's typhoid fever.
What?
Are you sure?
Not entirely, but he has all the symptoms.
Well, what can we do, Doctor?
He's running a temperature. They do that at first, you know. I'm going to stay for a while and keep an eye on him.
Coffee, Dad?
No.
He doesn't want any.
I tried to make him go to bed, but he just sat there all night waiting. Come in.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Doris says your lights are on all night. Anything wrong?
Yes, it's Johnny. The doctor's been with him.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Is there anything I can do?
Joe's inside. Why don't you go in and talk to him?
Oh, hello, Joe.
Hello, Nick. Is he going to be all right, Charlie?
I hope so, Joe. We're going to do everything we can to pull him through.
Oh, you've got to, Doctor. Mother's fixing breakfast.
Thanks. I could use a cup of coffee.
I'll serve it in here.
Charlie, how did he get it?
Typhoid? It's hard to say, Joe. Probably from drinking water.
Drinking water? But why our Johnny?
I don't know. We've always had a few cases every year.
But our drinking water's pure, isn't it?
Not exactly.
It never has been. But nobody ever does anything about it.
Why not?
It's finally up to the city health department.
And with that gang in City Hall now, you might just as well forget it, Joe. Imagine, in this day and age, where every city in the country ought to have pure water at least.
Oh, Nick, there must be a good reason.
There's a lot of towns in this state, smaller than ours, that have decent water.
Well, I'm sure they're working on it here.
They haven't lifted a finger about it for years. Am I right, Doc?
I'm afraid so.
Bill Holloway could certainly use this. We could clear that gang out of City Hall.
Oh, Nick, you're always thinking in terms of politics and politicians.
Look, don't take my word for this. Go down and see for yourself.
I think you ought to, Dad.
You owe it to Johnny to go and find out the truth.
All right, I'll go. But I still don't see why something hasn't been done about it.
We've recommended improvements.
What kind of improvements, Doctor?
More inspectors, more staff than I've got, but
But what?
there are other considerations.
What considerations?
It costs money to do these things.
So what? We taxpayers give you fellas plenty of money each year.
Tell you what, Mr. Turner, you might inquire at the water department office.
Typhoid germs in the city water. Let's see. Oh, yes, there is a fellow here might know something about it. But I just remembered he isn't in today.
Sorry, sir, we can't help you.
They went out to lunch.
Try the next door right.
I've been to 5 different departments here, and nobody's been able to answer my questions yet. What kind of a city administration do we have here, anyway?
Well, we managed to fumble along, sir.
So? Well, I don't pay taxes to hire fumblers.
Hello, John. Joe.
Hi.
How's the little boy?
Well, about the same, Ed.
One of my boys saw you down at City Hall this morning. Said you were raising quite a fuss.
Well, I didn't get anywhere. What can I do about it, Ed?
I don't know. But I'm glad to see a man of your standing in this town get interested in something down there.
You figure that's news, huh? People want to read about that?
Sure.
All I want to know is why we can't get decent water in this town. What are we paying taxes for?
It's rather a big question. But if it's all right with you, I'd like to use it for my editorial tomorrow.
I don't care what you do with it.
An editorial like that is like trying to shoot a giant with a pea shooter.
That's true, Joe. But this situation will make a great campaign issue. It's a natural.
Look, I'm not out to make political issues. I'd just like to see that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Well, that's a large order, Mr. Turner.
Well, no bigger than a lot of orders in my business.
This is different. You can't do it alone. You've got to have help.
And the Voters League will give us exactly that. With your name as the chairman of the executive committee, we'll pick up votes we'd never get without it.
Well, I'm a busy man. I haven't time for this.
That doesn't matter. In politics, it's your name that counts.
But I know nothing about politics.
You don't have to. I'll take care of the details.
We intend to fight fire with fire, sir.
Mr. Holloway is picking a slate that is sure to hold all our key precincts.
We'll keep this story on the front page. Spread the word around. Get the people worked up. By the time we have our kickoff rally, everyone in town will know about you and Johnny.
Your name will carry a lot of weight.
I'm sorry, but this kind of business just isn't for me.
But we need
Joe,
you, Mr.
listen.
Turner.
Pardon me. Yes? Hello, dear. Yes? What's the matter? You sound like you're... What? Johnny... Oh, no. Of course, dear, I'll be right home.
Joe, I'm terribly sorry.
All right. I'll go along with you. Says Turner will expose laxity of officials at rally tomorrow night. But I'm not sure just whom I'll expose, as you call it. You people have been traveling pretty fast for me.
Part of the game, Joe. You gotta hit them hard to get anywhere.
But I haven't found out yet who's really responsible for this mess. Yes? The mayor's secretary. Put him on. Hello, this is Mr. Turner speaking. I see. This afternoon? Yes, I can do that. I'll be there at 2 o'clock. Goodbye.
Now, when you see the mayor, don't pull any punches. Let him have the whole thing.
Mr. Mayor?
Hello, Joe. I'm glad to see you. Come in and sit down.
Thanks.
Have a cigar?
No, thanks.
I believe my wife sent your daughter a note about your grandson. We were terribly sorry to learn of it. You're here because of him, aren't you?
What do you mean?
If he hadn't been taken sick, you'd never have thought about your town's water system.
Possibly. What are you driving at?
This water problem taught me my first lesson in the politics of being a mayor.
How's that?
Well, a new water system costs money. A lot of money, Joe. That means raising the tax rate.
So?
So, a few years ago, I had them both put on the referendum. I asked the people to vote for a new water system and a higher tax rate. Politics and high taxes never mix. If it had been a regular election, I would have been voted out of office.
But did the people honestly know what it was all about? What it really meant?
Well, didn't you, Joe?
Well, I don't remember.
This is a voting record by precincts. In your precinct, there wasn't a single solitary vote cast for it.
Well, I guess I made a mistake.
No, you didn't make a mistake, Joe. You just didn't know what it was all about. And you weren't interested enough to find out.
Well, I'm interested now. And I'd like to find out about a lot of other things, too.
For instance?
The city's spending more than it takes in. The controls you've put on business and labor. The promises you made and never delivered. The useless job holders around here. Where do you stand on those things?
Well, what difference does it make where I stand, Joe? People don't care. They've got short memories. It depends on what precinct I'm in, who I'm talking to. As one businessman to another, you manufacture products. My business is to manufacture votes. See?
Yes, I see. And I don't like it.
Well, that's politics, Joe. And if you'll forgive me for saying so, there's a lot more to it than just being heartbroken and bitter over a death in the family.
Yes, I'm beginning to understand that.
You think this American League of Voters is going to make any difference? Well, even if you win this election, which you're not going to, it's not going to make any difference around here. Just a new set of faces, that's all. You know, you don't change anything by just calling yourself an American.
Look, Mr. Turner, I'm an American, too. Mr. Turner, what's an American?
Look, Mr. Turner, I'm voting your way. I'm voting American for you.
Why, Mike?
Because you're a right guy, Mr. Turner, and you know all about that stuff.
Me too, Mr. Turner. I'm an American.
What is an American, Paul?
Why, an American? Well, he's a fellow that's, it's like, he's an American is an American.
Where is he?
I hope he won't let us down.
Don't worry, Mr. Turner hasn't missed an appointment in his life.
Well, he's due to go on in 10 minutes.
Well, all we can do is sit and wait.
What are you going to say, Mr. Turner?
Give us a statement, sir.
Joe, well, where you been all day? I've been phoning your home, your office.
Are you all set, Mr. Turner?
Thank goodness you're here, Joe. Now, after the introduction, the band will start up, and then you'll come on.
Okay, folks, he's here. He'll be out there on time. Now, let's all clear out and give him a couple minutes to collect his thoughts. Just a few minutes to peace and quiet.
Well, Joe, your speech is on the table.
What's it say?
What does it say? I don't know. The usual stuff. It's our platform.
Oh, yes, I remember.
With quite a crowd out there, Joe. Full house.
Fine.
What's the matter? Tired? You look different. Anything wrong?
Bill, yesterday I met a little boy. And he asked me, Mr. Turner, what's an American? And I thought of all the things that I'd heard about America when I was his age. How America had a representative government. Of, by, and for the people. And all sounded very simple then. Good. I believed it. Gradually, I acquired a deep faith in that belief. But as I grew older, I forgot what an American really is. I forgot that an American is a man who lives in a country where he has more rights and more freedom than any man in any other country on the face of the earth. I forgot, too, that an American has an obligation, a definite duty he's got to perform, which men in many other countries don't always have. And that is to vote in every single election and to know exactly why he's voting the way he does. That single vote might seem like a small responsibility, but it's the very heart of our American heritage. It's the price we pay to go on living here as free men. Well, it took the mayor of our own hometown to show me just how much I'd forgotten that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Joe, but we'll straighten everything out when we win the election.
I wondered about that, too. So I took the trouble to ask each one of the candidates I was to introduce here tonight just what he stood for. I got words, Bill. Great, big, beautiful 25-cent words that nobody could disagree with.
But you didn't expect them to go down to details, did you?
When I asked them to, they couldn't. They couldn't even understand what I was talking about.
But be practical, Joe. They're going to bring us votes.
And as soon as they're elected, they'll slip right back into the same old rut. So that's fighting fire with fire?
Well, why not?
Bill, don't you see something happens to us when we do this? It's like...
I know what he means, Bill. He means we lose the very thing we set out to win.
Well, what are you going to do? Go out there and beat your breast and say, I've made a mistake, come back tomorrow night?
Yes, Bill. Just about that.
But you can't. It's too late for that now.
Bill, it's never too late for that.
But those people out there, they're counting on us.
Maybe that's the trouble. They've been counting on me without caring what I really stand for.
What?
No, sir, Bill. I'm going out there and ask for time. Time to find qualified men of intelligence and integrity to form a new slate for this party.
Why,
to write a real platform with pledges we can deliver on. Yes, and I'm going to make it clear to them that it's up to the people to find out exactly what they're being asked to vote for.
Joe, I've been in politics practically all my life. And I've seen a lot of political movements with the very best of intentions and ideals flop because of political inexperience. But believe me, you're going to get the sweat and blood support of the entire organization of the League. Every single voter in town is going to be seen. Every doorbell is going to be rung. This campaign will be run to win. I pledge you that.
Joe! Joe!
Ever since you made that speech last week, you've been after me. But I haven't changed my mind. I can't run for mayor. It's ridiculous.
John, as plant superintendent of the biggest company in Oak City, you know how to get things done.
You're one of the most popular men in town, head of the community chess drive, and
You know as much about our civic affairs as any person I know.
But I am not a politician.
Makes no difference. We want Oak City to have the best men we can get.
look at our slate, John. George Gray, J.C. Wilkinson, Professor Carter here. The best expert men in town.
But I haven't the time. I have too
John,
many...
for 20 years now, you've been free to do whatever you wanted to do with no strings attached. Don't you think a year or two out of your life is a small price to pay for the freedom you've enjoyed?
But Mayor, that's for a professional politician.
So you can go on kicking about the way our town is run?
I voted against them.
That's not enough, John. Look, for years we've been complaining about our government here in Oak City. We've called it every name under the sun, up to and including un-American. Well, if it's un-American, it's because we've allowed political mediocrities and professional office holders run it for us. As citizens, we've been mediocrities too.
I'm beginning to see what you mean, Joe.
Well, how about it, John? Are you with us?
Yes. Yes, I'm with you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
John, I'm glad. This is just what we need.
Precinct, got it. For Mayor Clark, 217, Hanford, 322. Right. Here's the 4th precinct.
Here's the 4th precinct.
The 4th? Good.
By 10 o'clock, incomplete returns indicate a record turnout of voters here in Oak City.
Sorry, Mr. Turner's busy right now. Call back later, please.
Give me the city desk. Hello, Fred.
It looks awfully good for Hanford. He's got a good lead in almost all districts. Yeah. Call me back later.
Well, I think we're in.
Well, it's too early to tell, but it looks good, all right.
Joe! The 11th precinct just phoned in. 1,187 out of 2,100.
That's one of our toughest precincts, too.
Well, John, looks like you're going to do it.
A little too early to tell, don't you think?
Quiet, everybody. The mayor.
Congratulations, John. I've conceded the election. Why are you doing that, Joe?
Because now I know what it really means.
Yes, this is a real American town. And as I said, this story could have been yesterday, or tomorrow, or it could be today. Are you an American?
Yourself. You see where your pretty reasoning leads you.
Aye. I presume thou art in the right, Ben Franklin.
Presume? Huh. Unquestionably, I'm in the right. I was in the right in the beginning. I've been in the right all along. I'm always right.
Thou hast won the disputation, Ben Franklin. But I won't concede it to thee.
Won't concede it, eh? Why, my friend? Prithee, why?
Because, Ben, thou art not content with being in the right. Thou hast to be overbearing and insolent as well. Good day to thee, sir.
Well, I...
Good day, Mistress Franklin.
Good day. Did you win your argument, Benjamin?
What, dear child?
I say, did you win the argument with your Quaker friend?
Win? Win? Did I win?
Ben Franklin, the great American diplomat and philosopher. One of the greatest salesmen that ever lived. He began life an inveterate arguer. But when his Quaker friend drove home the awful truth, Ben took it on the chin and asked himself a few questions. He did some powerful thinking, and he came to the conclusion that you don't win arguments by arguing. But what is more important, Ben did something about it. He decided to correct his faults. He determined to change his method of working with people. He formulated some rules to govern his man-to-man relations. Virtue is obtained rather by the use of the ears than of the tongue. Put on the humble inquirer. Argument is productive of disgusts and perhaps enmities. In answering an opinion, observe that in certain cases, the opinion would be right. Forbear all direct contradictions to the sentiments of others and all positive assertions. Lose no time, but let each part of your business have its time. They are simple, these rules, but they helped make possible Ben's long and illustrious career of selling America. They helped make Ben one of the most effective salesmen of all time. Now, Ben wasn't what we would call a natural-born salesman, but by applying these rules, he sold the people of Pennsylvania his ideas for clean streets. People weren't attracted to Ben, just the opposite, in fact. But despite this, he sold his ideas for a volunteer fire department and a public library. By nature, Ben didn't have the knack of getting along with people, yet he put over his ideas for a free hospital and state university. Ben was a poor speaker, but he carried his points. He sold America to the French and secured many millions of dollars in loans. Loans which made possible the victories of General George Washington. As an old man, Ben went to the Constitutional Convention and sold America on signing the supreme law of the land. Selling America wasn't a hit or miss proposition with Ben. It all came down to the simple rules he established for himself early in life and which he applied throughout the length and breadth of his long selling career. Now, this is all very well and good, but the modern salesman says,
how do Ben's rules apply to modern selling? What kind of a salesman would Ben make today? Times have changed. Customers today are different. Selling America today isn't like selling America back in the 18th century.
You're quite right, sir. Times have changed. The modern customer is different. In dress, in manner of living. The modern tempo is faster. You are quite right, sir. In your selling, you offer services undreamed of in my time. You answer needs that never existed before. What you sell America is entirely different, but how you sell it is something else. The methods of influencing people to buy are more or less universal. They're based on human nature, which is perhaps the one thing in all the years that has remained constant.
Then you think I can sell, well, refrigerators, ranges, automobile tires, anything at all that's modern? by some of those rules?
Indeed I do, sir.
Well, Ben, you'll have to show me.
That will be a pleasure, sir.
All right, Ben. What's your first rule again?
My first rule, sir, is virtue is obtained rather by the use of the ears than of the tongue. Put on the humble inquirer.
Which in up-to-date English means get the prospect to talk, ask questions, eh, Ben?
Right, sir.
But, Ben, does that always apply? Isn't it a good idea to let the prospect know that you know what you're selling?
Yes, indeed. But there's a time and a place for all that. After you have found out just what you're selling. The salesman who doesn't get the prospect to talk, who doesn't ask questions, is likely to monopolize the conversation and lose the sale because he never does find out the prospect's real reason for not buying. The salesman who uses his tongue rather than his ears is likely to run into this difficulty. While you're here, Mr. Daniels, if you have time, I'd like to show you our tires. You'll be needing some new ones before long, you know.
Yes, I know. But I generally buy my tires down the street at Ed's place.
Well, if it's economy and tires you're looking for, Mr. Daniels, I think I can prove to you that our make of tire comes just as cheap as those down the street. That is, cheap when you consider the service and long life you get out of our make.
Well,
Why, Mr. Daniels, these tires have been put through all kinds of road tests before they were placed on the market. Scientifically conducted road tests by the greatest engineers in the industry. And they prove conclusively that this tire has the greatest mileage of any tire you can buy today. Just let me...
I'll think it over and let you know. I have an appointment.
Pet selling points are often the reason for lost sales. The salesman tries to sell something that he himself is interested in, and frequently it is not at all what the prospect is interested in. That's why rule number 1 says, get the prospect to talk. Ask questions. In that way, you can find out what the prospect really wants.
How do you find out what his real reasons are for not buying?
Well, the simplest way to do that, I should say, is to ask why.
Why?
Uh-huh. Let's see how it works on Mr. Daniels. While you're here, Mr. Daniels, if you have time, I'd like to show you our tires. You'll be needing some new ones before long, you know.
Yes, I know. But I generally buy my tires down the street at Ed's place.
Is that so, Mr. Daniels? Just why do you like that particular tire?
Well, I don't know. I've been using them a long time. I like the way they're made.
In other words, you like their construction?
Well, yes, I guess that's it.
I see. Just why do you like that particular construction?
Well, I'll tell you. I do a good deal of traveling in all kinds of weather. What I like most about that tire is the tread.
Well, I don't want to be too inquisitive, Mr. Daniels, but just what do you like about that tread?
Well, it doesn't skid.
I see. Well, that's very important in a tire. And I believe you'd be interested in seeing a new safety tread that our company has just developed.
A new tread?
Yes. I'd like to show it to you. The prospect is really interested in safety, in non-skid. So that's what the salesman must talk about if he wants the prospect to listen. Not cost of the tire, not mileage. All the talk in the world about cost or mileage wouldn't sell that prospect when he's really interested in something else. The only way I could find that out was to ask questions. Besides, if you get people to talk, it puts you on a friendly basis. People like to talk.
Okay, Ben. What's your second rule?
My second rule is arguments are productive of disgust and perhaps enmities. Persons of good sense seldom fall into them.
That means, don't argue, eh, Ben?
Right.
Well, yes, Ben, but isn't it true that there are some people that you just can't help arguing with?
Well, I know the kind you mean, but woe to the salesman who gets into debate with them. Watch this.
You can't tell me it's cheap to cook with electricity. Somebody else maybe, but not me. I know all about cooking with it. My sister-in-law used to have an electric range and her bills ran, I don't know how much a month.
Well, Mrs. Harrison, your sister-in-law must have had a very poor range.
Oh, no, she didn't. She had a very good range, one of the best. It cost, an awful lot of money. It was a good range, all right, one of the best.
Then probably she didn't know how to cook with it.
Didn't know how to cook? What do you know about it?
What I meant was she probably wasted current, used electricity that she didn't need. Why, we've made a national survey. Why, I have statements here to prove...
I guess she knows what she needs to cook with and what she doesn't. My sister-in-law is a good cook. She was chief dietitian of, I don't know how many hospitals before she was married. Cook? Why, that little woman could cook wings around anybody I ever saw. The most beautiful pies and roasts and, well, anybody who says my sister-in-law can't cook is... What do you know about it? What can you cook?
Well,
I bet you can't even boil water. Can't even boil water. You men are all alike. You think just because you're men you know all there is to know about everything. All there is to know. My Harry is just the same. Doesn't think a woman knows anything. Anything at all. About politics or anything. What I want to tell you is the woman in this country counts for something in the government, whether you...
And if you do get into an argument, there's no telling where it will lead you. But one thing is certain, though. It won't lead to a sale.
But how do you handle a woman like that, Ben?
Well, that brings me to my next rule. Rule number 3. In answering an opinion, observe that in certain cases or circumstances, the opinion would be right.
What does that mean, Ben?
Well, as you might put it, it means answer with a yes, but. That's what I'd do with a woman like that one.
You can't tell me it's cheap to cook with electricity. Somebody else maybe, but not me. I know all about cooking with it. My sister-in-law used to have an electric range and her bills ran, I don't know how much a month.
Yes, Mrs. Harrison, I can understand why you feel that way. Many people think that about electric cooking costs. Some electric ranges did cost a lot to operate. That's because many of the earlier electric ranges used a lot of current, and because rates were high. But fortunately, those conditions are no longer true.
I know, but my sister-in-law told me definitely that her range cost her $7 a month to operate.
Yes, I have no doubt that your sister-in-law's range did cost that much to operate. But today's electric rates are appreciably lower, and the modern range uses considerably less current.
Well, it's hard to believe there could be so awful much difference.
Yes, it is hard to believe. But as a matter of fact, in a national survey just completed, the average cost of operation was found to be only $2.30 a month. And here are some actual statements from owners right in this town.
Well, that certainly is surprising. I had no idea it cost so little to cook with electricity. Of course, you know, my sister-in-law did have quite an old range.
Well, Ben, the yes, but technique sure pulled you through on that one. What's your next rule?
My next rule has to do with the cause of arguments. Many of them, you know, the salesman himself provokes. That's why I say in rule number 4, forbear all direct contradictions to the sentiments of others and all positive assertions.
Don't contradict. Don't be too positive?
Right. For when you do contradict, when you are too positive, well, let's see what might happen. Good day, sir.
Well, how do you do? I'm looking for one of those grips. I didn't see what I wanted in the window. One of those, you know, grips.
What do you want it for?
Well, I'm going to do a little traveling. The company is sending me out in the field again. I'm going on the road.
Well, in that case, you don't want a grip. Nobody uses grips anymore. They're out of style. They're a back number. You want one of these.
No, I don't. I want a grip. I've always used a grip. I don't like these newfangled bags.
But I think you're mistaken. Everybody uses these bags nowadays.
I don't care.
Grips aren't any good. Not enough room in them. Can't keep your clothes right. Your suits get wrinkled. You'll carry an extra suit along with you, won't you?
Yes, but...
Well, in that case, this bag is just the thing. A place for everything, and everything in its place. Accommodates every traveling need. This is what you want.
No, it isn't. I want a grip. And if I can't get it here, I'll...
You see, I got off on the wrong foot right away by contradicting the prospect. Mind you, you may be perfectly right in everything you say, But if you present it that way, well, prospects are pretty rugged individualists sometimes. How much better it would have been to handle it this way. Good day, sir.
Well, how do you do? I'm looking for one of those grips. I didn't see what I wanted in your window. One of those, you know, grips.
Yes, I understand. Of course. Going to do a little traveling, eh?
Yep. I'm going on the road again.
Here is a very nice grip. Genuine top-grain cowhide leather. Hand-sewed. Lined with imported Irish linen. Will not scratch or soil.
Yeah? Well...
By the way, here's another style of bag with many new conveniences for a person who travels a lot.
Well, I know. But it probably costs too much.
It does cost a little more. But then the savings on suit pressings would in a short time more than pay for the difference.
Well, I never thought about one of those. But you know, that looks all right.
In other words, always be sure to show them what they ask for first.
Yes. By not contradicting and getting off on the right track, you're well on the way to stepping the prospect up to a better sale, to what he really needs, and to having a better satisfied customer.
All right, Ben, where do we go from here? What's rule number 5?
Rule number 5 is lose no time. Cut off all unnecessary actions. Let all things have their places. But let each part of your business have its time.
Don't waste time, but tell a complete story?
Right. Now suppose I'm selling a woman a refrigerator. I find out, by getting the prospect to talk, that she's interested in the ice tray. All right. You see, Mrs. Brown, a simple lift of this lever and the cubes are released instantly. The quick cube tray, it's called. Here, try it. Isn't it easy?
Just a minute, Ben. You find out what the prospect is interested in by getting her to talk. But after you've sold her on that, what do you do then, Ben? Whip out the order book and go after the old signature?
No, I don't do that. Oh, I give her an opportunity to buy, sure. But usually, if you do it too early in the sale, you'll find she'll hedge on you. Why? Because she's busy thinking up other things she's interested in.
What are you driving at, Ben?
Just this. I must tell a complete story. Not only must I sell her on the things she told me she was interested in, but I must sell her on the other things she's interested in that she didn't tell me about. Maybe she didn't even think about. If I'm a smart salesman, I anticipate these things. A complete story gets the order, because you never know what particular feature is going to make the prospect definitely decide to buy. And unless you do tell a complete story, you may overlook the one feature that will turn the trick.
One more thing, Ben, about that order. Does she always sign it?
No. No, she doesn't. The salesman doesn't live who can close every deal. But I'll say this. If she goes out with my complete story in mind, she's going to be a mighty tough prospect for any competitive salesman. Because if she goes out, she'll know a lot about my product. And that competitive salesman is going to be on the defensive every step of his contact.
Okay, Ben, okay. Thank you very much. Those rules of yours sure do the job. They work just as well in today's job of selling America.
Well, they should. After all, they're universal principles of human association. You see, they're broader than just selling alone. They apply to any and every matter of conduct. They're the rules for a better relationship of man to man. And I feel that I can say this without seeming vain, for they weren't new with me, these rules. They're as old as history. I picked them up from salesmen who lived hundreds of years before my time.
Get the prospect to talk. Ask questions. Don't argue. Answer with a yes, but. Don't contradict. Don't be too positive. Don't waste time, but tell a complete story. Use these 5 rules every day, in every contact, and you can sell America.
Long ago, there were many people who believed the universe was ruled by a divinity named Jupiter. But around his celestial temple these days, he has another name. Old.
Useless, and furthermore, if you were any kind of a god, you'd be out working miracles for people instead of loafing around the palace all day.
Yes, Juno, my love.
You are the most completely worthless husband a goddess ever had. Why, you can't even turn off that rain so I can hang the washing out to dry.
But I'm out of practice, dear. Nobody has believed in me for thousands and thousands of years. I'm out of date.
And I'm out of patience. You could at least try to stop that storm.
Well, all right. I'll try. Maybe I've still got some of the old stuff left. Sic transit gloria abracadabra. And gesundheit! See? Nothing happens.
Wait a minute. Look, Jupiter. It's stopping.
Well, what do you know about that? By golly, I hauled off and made a miracle after all.
Well, you ought to get busy and make some more. Just look at Earth down there. Full of people who could use a miracle or two to make life easier.
Sure, but you know how they are. Quarrelsome, ornery, always fighting, always arguing. It hardly seems worthwhile to make miracles for people like that.
Oh, I don't know. Now, take that man down there in the commuter's car. He looks as though he needs some help. Goodness, he's really feeling low, isn't he?
He certainly looks it. Let's tune in and find out what he's thinking about, huh?
Yes, let's.
What a day. Another one like this, and a man by the name of Thornton J. Poindexter will be ready for the booby hatch. That's me. Feet hurt, headaches. As far as I'm concerned, the whole human race can go hang. Let's see. I started the first thing this morning with that kid on his bicycle.
Hey, you, why don't you watch where you're going, you little imp? What are you doing right on the sidewalk anyway?
On your father's mustache. You don't own the sidewalk.
Why?
Yeah.
Fresh little brat, you ought to be spanked.
Yes, that was the way this day started. And I, Thornton J. Poindexter, was burned up even before I got to the newsstand at the corner.
Usual paper?
Certainly.
Here you are, 3 cents.
I know the price. Here, take it out of this $5 bill.
Did you got anything smaller? I can't change that.
You can't? Why don't you keep some change on hand so you can do business properly?
Take it easy, mister. It's pretty early in the morning.
Never mind. I don't want any alibis. I'll buy my paper somewhere else.
Hey, old crab.
Well, my day certainly was getting off to a bad start. And when I got to the station, some dope ahead of me was getting a commuter's ticket.
Look, how long are you going to hold everybody up, mister?
Just as long as it takes the lady to make out my commuter's ticket, chum. Any objections?
You certainly picked a fine time for it. You're going to make me miss my train.
Now, ain't that just too bad?
So I missed my train. That made me 10 minutes late at the office. And then to make matters worse, when I got in the elevator, a female monster loaded with parcels was jabbing me and pushing me around.
Fine thing, flooding up a busy elevator this hour of the morning with a bunch of junk.
I beg your pardon? Are you referring to me?
Ah, your father's mustache.
Yes, that was one thing I learned from the kid on the bicycle. Anyhow, by the time I got to the office, late of course, I was fit to be tied. And of course, so was the boss. He gave me a look that would fry an egg. I ignored him and got by. But things didn't improve as the day went on. At lunch, for instance, I had a run-in with the waitress.
What do you have?
Well, I'll have the boiled beef.
We're out of boiled beef.
And I'll have the, Finn and Hattie.
We're out of Finn and Hattie, but,
Look, is this a restaurant or isn't it? Do you serve food here or don't you?
this is a restaurant, mister. We do serve food when we have it. But you can't come in this late on the lunch hour and expect to pick and choose. Now, if you want a ham sandwich or something.
I don't want to eat anything in this hash house.
Oh, my aching feet.
So I ended up eating a hamburger in a joint around the corner. What a day. What a day. Then to cap the climax, I had a date at my bank to talk over a loan I need in order to buy a new house. So on my lunch hour, I went to see the third assistant vice president. He was a cold fish, and I wasn't in a very good mood either, believe me.
How do you do, Mr. Poindexter? Sit down.
Thanks.
I've examined your application for a loan from the bank, and there are a few more facts we have to have.
What do you mean, facts?
Details, more data on your financial position, shall we say.
Why, I've had an account in this bank for 12 years. I've got a darn good credit rating, and you want more facts.
You don't have to get so excited about it, Poindexter. It's a matter of routine.
Routine? Oh, I suppose you'd like to know the color of my second cousin's eyes, or how often I get a haircut. What is this, a bank of the third degree?
On second thought, Poindexter, I believe we can dispense with the extra information. You'll hear from us in a few days, by mail. Goodbye, Poindexter. I can assure you your application for a loan will receive all of the attention it deserves.
Well, I knew then that I'd never get the loan, but it wasn't my fault. Everything had gone so wrong, I felt upset and unhappy, and now I'm dead tired, and I hate to go home and tell Mary about what happened at the bank.
There, if I ever saw one, is a human who could use a miracle, Jupiter.
Why? Everything that's happened to him, he brought on himself. If he hadn't antagonized everybody the way he did, his day wouldn't have turned out nearly so bad.
Oh, true enough. Only he doesn't know that. Why don't you haul off and work some kind of a miracle that'll fix things up for him?
What kind of a miracle?
Oh, I don't know. Something simple like. I've got it.
Oh?
Why not let him relive his bad day? Only this time, show him how to treat other people better. So he'll get treated better.
Yeah, might be interesting at that. Although, mind you, I don't think he'll act much differently. All humans are ornery.
Anyway, you can try.
Well, okay. Here goes. Poindexter! Oh, Poindexter! Poindexter.
What? Who's that?
This is Jupiter, Poindexter.
Jupiter? Jupiter who?
I beg your pardon, were you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Jupiter.
That's right. I'm a god. Lots of people used to believe in me.
Oh, quit your kidding. I suppose you're up in the sky someplace.
That I am, son. That I am.
Nonsense.
What did you say?
Will you please stay out of this conversation, lady? I'm talking to Jupiter.
Oh. Jupiter. Oh, my goodness, I'm glad this is my stop.
Listen, Poindexter. How would you like to go through this bad day over again and have everything turn out all right?
How could I? Day's already gone.
And you wasted it because you forgot a few fundamentals on how to get along with people.
I did, such as?
Well, such as a soft answer turneth away wrath. You can catch more flies with sugar than vinegar. Kindness, like corn, increases by sowing.
It's all corn if you should ask me. Everyone I had trouble with today was ornery and mean. They didn't remember any of those old proverbs.
Well, they might have, son, if you had.
Yeah, what makes you think so?
Because, Poindexter, courtesy is contagious.
So is smallpox.
What can I do with somebody like that?
Stay with it. That Poindexter needs help.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Poindexter.
Yeah? What is it?
Let me put it this way. Do you consider yourself a selfish man?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Well, then it's high time you started getting selfish, Poindexter. Looking out for your own happiness. You've got to get selfish, Poindexter. Wisely selfish.
Well, I don't get it. One minute you want me to be courteous, and the next minute you want me to be selfish. Now, how come?
Well, being courteous is being selfish. Because every time you go out of your way to be extra nice to someone, you're laying the groundwork for that someone to be extra nice to you. That means your life is going to be a lot more pleasant, a lot more profitable, and certainly a lot more fun. So you're really being selfish. You're putting something in the bank of human relations that's going to pay you fat dividends. See?
Yeah, if the bank doesn't fold.
Fold? Oh, but it can't, Poindexter. Because when the person you've been kind and courteous to pays you back, he's being selfish too. Because you're going to tax some interest on what he's invested. Nobody loses.
I don't know, it sounds too easy.
But it's not, Poindexter. Sometimes it's pretty hard to do unto others so they do right by you. Because courtesy isn't a tip of the hat, the warm hand clasp, or the big fat compliment.
All right, I'll stooge for you. What then is courtesy?
Well, it's something that comes from inside you, down deep. It's patience and understanding of somebody else's problems and troubles. It's being helpful and friendly to people because you like and understand people. It's saving the other guy's face in an argument so that you can save your own. It's selfishness, Poindexter. Wise selfishness that does you more good than the good you're doing.
Is that so?
Sure. So why not take a whirl at it, old boy? I'll haul off and work a miracle for you that'll let you relive your tough day. Only this time, when you get tempted to get irritated at somebody, get smart. Get selfish instead. I'll give you a little reminder like this.
Say, that's kind of pretty.
Well, that'll remind you to get selfish. After you hear it, you're on your own. And we'll see what happens. Fair enough?
Well, I guess so.
Okay. Sic, transit, gloria, abracadabra, and gesundheit.
Now I've seen everything.
Hey, you, why don't you look where you're going? Why, you little... Poindexter. You're starting out wrong.
Get wise. Get selfish. Do yourself some good.
All right, Jupiter, that's right. Here you are, Sonny. Let me help you up. Did you hurt yourself?
No, sir. I'm sorry I almost ran into you. I'm late for school.
Well, we don't want that to happen, do we? Don't you think you'd make better time if you rode in the street?
Oh, I guess you're right. Say, you're Mr. Poindexter that lives at 2085, aren't you?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Oh, I deliver your evening paper.
Say, would you do me a favor?
Well, sure I will.
Well, would you mind putting the paper under the front doormat instead of throwing it on the front porch? I know it'll be a little more trouble, but, see, I have a dog as long as he gets a hold of it and tears it up.
Sure I will, Mr. Poindexter. I'll do that. Glad to.
Well, thanks a lot. I'll see you around. Oh, and another thing. If that teacher of yours gets mad because you're late, why, you tell her the truth. Tell her the man knocked you off your bike.
Yes, sir. Well, goodbye, Mr. Poindexter.
Goodbye, boy. There's a nice boy.
How do you feel, Poindexter?
Me? I feel good.
Sure you do. That kid had troubles enough of his own, but you didn't add to them. You sympathized. And in return, you got a little extra service from him.
Yes, I did. Say, maybe there's something in what you say.
Yes, but don't get too self-confident, Poindexter. Your day has only started. It'll get tougher for him as the day goes along.
Oh, not necessarily. Maybe it'll get easier.
I don't know. That newsstand dealer down there still looks crabby.
Your usual paper?
Certainly.
There you are, 3 cents.
I know the price. By Jupiter, Fred, I'm in kind of a spot. I want my usual morning paper, but the smallest I have is a $5 bill, and I know you don't want to change that for a 3-cent purchase.
And I not only don't want to, I can't. Ain't got that much change. Too early in the morning.
Well, you don't have to be so... Never thought of that. Say, I tell you what I'll do. I'll run over to the all-night drugstore, and I'll get this changed, and then you'll have some silver to work with, huh?
You needn't do that, Mr. Poindexter. Here's your paper. You can pay me tomorrow.
Well, thanks.
And say, I'm sorry I was so crabby just now. I was up all night with the wife. She's sick.
So, what's the matter?
Rheumatism or lumbago or something. The docs can't seem to make up their minds.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Say, I know a doctor that's a whiz at that kind of stuff. Why, he cured me in a jiffy about a year ago. Better try him out. Here, I'll give you his name and address.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Poindexter.
There you are.
And say, remember a few months ago, you told me to get you a hometown newspaper, and I told you it wasn't worth the trouble, and you got mad?
Sure, I remember.
Well, that paper's going to be on his stand every morning, rain or shine.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Fred.
He seems to be catching on, doesn't he? Don't strum that lyre so hard this time and see what happens.
Well, I don't know. He won't want to miss that train again. And there's that same fellow buying a commuter's ticket.
Look, how long... By Jupiter. Pardon me. Are you getting a commuter's ticket?
Yeah. Why?
Well, I know from bitter experience that it takes the girl quite a while to fill one of those things out, and I wondered if you'd let me get a single ticket. It would keep me from missing my train.
Wait your turn like everybody else.
By Jupiter, that's right. I shouldn't try to barge in, should I? You don't know my boss. I'm so much as 2 minutes late, he'll just give me the devil.
Yeah? You got that kind of boss too, huh?
And how?
Well, here, step in and get your ticket. I ain't in no hurry.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks a lot. One to the city, please.
It's okay. I hope you punch that clock on time.
Oh, I will, and thanks to you. There's my train now. Thanks, I'll see you around.
Hey, I didn't have to play very loud in that one, did I?
No, he's catching on. I told you he would. And he isn't going to be late for work. Isn't that nice?
Well, I don't know. Look, he's in the elevator getting jabbed just as he was before.
Fine thing, put in elevators. By Jupiter. Those packages look a little heavy. Here, let me help you.
Why, thank you. They are pretty bulky.
Sort of hard getting around downtown during the early morning rush hour, isn't it?
It certainly is. In fact, I wouldn't have tried it, but I promised to take all these packages down to the collecting agency for the Crippled Children's Hospital before 9 o'clock.
Oh, the Children's Hospital. I used to be on one of its committees. I've got a real interest in the work they do there. Tell me, how often do you bring...
See? You only had to touch a few strings that time. Jupiter, our lad is really getting into stride fast.
Well, it seems as though. And look, he's even rating a big smile from his boss. Why, the day seems to be going all right.
Still, he has to face that waitress whose feet hurt. Tell you what, just pluck one string this time. He may be smart enough by now, so he won't need much of a reminder.
All right.
What do you have?
Well, I'll have the boiled beef.
We're out of boiled beef.
And I'll have, Finn and Hattie.
We're out of Finn and Hattie, but,
Look, is this a restaurant or... By Jupiter. I didn't realize it was so late. You're probably sold out of everything, aren't you?
yes, sir, we are. We had a lot of business for lunch.
Well, what would you suggest? I'm pretty hungry.
Well, I'll tell you. It isn't on the luncheon menu, but I can get you a nice steak and French fries if you'd like it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now you're cooking.
Medium rare?
Medium well.
Say, you see that? I used only one string that time, and I got a mistake. I have to eat hash.
But you have to admit, I can work miracles with hash.
You know, I think Poindexter ought to be able to go it alone from here on out. Look, he's coming out of the bank now. Poindexter, how'd you make out this time?
Me fine. But I didn't hear your reminder.
Well, that's because I didn't give you any. Fact is, Poindexter, you're graduated. You're on your own now.
Well, that's okay by me. You know, I found out how to make that courtesy is contagious thing work.
Good, good. Pass the word along, too, will you? I can't be bothered to make miracles for everybody.
You bet I'll do that.
How do you feel now, Poindexter?
Well, I feel like $1 million. I gotta hurry back to the office. But I'll keep in touch with you, Jupiter, old boy. Goodbye. Hello, Andy.
Oh,
You waiting for me?
you're darn right I am.
What's on your mind?
I got a gripe. I'm mad.
Yeah, what's the matter?
Plenty. It's that Joe Curtis's department. I had a fight with him this morning.
Yeah, how'd you make out?
Second best, doggone it.
What was the fight about?
Oh, the same old thing. Joe insists that I keep out-of-town billings separate from local ones. And he knows darn well that it takes twice as much time to do it that way than to do it my way. Boy, I told him off plenty.
She came out second best, huh?
Well, he's just bullheaded.
Andy, I had a funny experience today that taught me something. How I learned it, I won't tell you because you wouldn't believe me. But what I learned was very important to me. And easy and simple, and something perhaps you can use.
Oh? Well, what is it?
Well, you've got to be selfish in this wacky world of ours.
Selfish?
Yeah, but wisely selfish.
You better keep talking. Hasn't made sense to me so far.
Well, everybody runs into people and situations every day that just irritate like the dickens. And everybody's first instinct is to get mad and lash back so they can burn the other guy up. But it usually doesn't work out that way. You come out second best, just like you did.
Hey, wait a minute now. You're not preaching at me, are you?
Me? No. I'm just passing on something I learned the hard way, by Jupiter. Anytime you get into one of these spots, just remember one thing and you'll come out first best. Be selfish by saying and doing the things that'll make your life more pleasant. Now, here's what I suggest you do. You go back in that next office and talk to Joe again.
Our lad is certainly saving you some work on miracles, isn't he?
He sure is. There. Andy has gone back into Joe's office, and Poindexter is doing a little eavesdropping. Let's do the same thing, huh?
Oh, goody. I like to eavesdrop.
And I suddenly realized, Joe, that if I don't build the out-of-town stuff separately,
It means a lot more work for your department. So from here on out, you're going to get those billings just the way you want it.
Well, say, thanks, Andy. It'll be a big help. And by the way, I think I can show you how to do that billing the way we have to have it in a lot less time than the way you've been doing it. I guess I just haven't had a chance to tell you about it before. But if you want to spend 5 minutes right now...
Sure thing, Joe. Tell me about it.
It worked again, Jupiter. Sure, it worked, Poindexter. It always works. And it doesn't take a miracle to make it work either. You just showed Andy how to be wisely selfish.
I sure did. And he cashed in nicely, didn't he?
Naturally. Well, anyhow, you won't need us anymore. But be sure to keep passing the word along, Poindexter.
I certainly will, Jupe. Every chance I get. After all, I found out that people, all kinds of people, are always hungry for a little understanding and kindness and patience. And when they get it, they feel better and they act better. And they give it back with interest. Isn't that it, Jupe?
That's it, son. That's it. Well, so long, Poindexter.
So long, Jupiter. So long, Juno.
This is Elmdale, USA, typical of the thousands of communities, large and small, which make up America. Elmdale is a town you'd hardly notice, just a wide place in the road. But its problems are symbolic of the problems of all groups of people living together in a democracy. Elmdale's problem isn't traffic. Although it serves the people for miles around as a trading center, there are still plenty of places to park. Elmdale's problem is not one of government. Sam Turner has served as mayor for 4 terms, and what little administration is necessary has always been done to the satisfaction of the citizens of the town. No, Elmdale's problem was one that was vital to every man, woman, and child in the town, and one that took the effort of a great many of the townspeople to solve. Because, like all problems in a democracy, the solution had to come from the people themselves. What is it that motivates people to act? How do individuals awaken to the realization that the community's problems are their own personal problems? Well, in the case of Elmdale, the realization came first to a man named Bert Henderson, who woke up and heard a voice calling his name.
Bert? Bert!
What's the matter? Is she sick?
Bert, her temperature's 103. I thought she just had the sniffles. Bert,
I'll call the doctor.
It's all right, Becky. Daddy's going to bring you a drink of water.
Mary, get me Doc Richards in White City, would you please? Thanks. Let's get her wrapped up. Doc Richards says to bring her to White City.
Is it all right to move her?
Well, the doctor says so, but we'd better hurry.
What do you do when your child is sick in the middle of the night? have the doctor come out. Not if you're the Hendersons who live in Elmdale, USA. Because since old Doc Martin died, Elmdale has been without a doctor. Bert is going to have to drive his sick child 22 miles to White City for help. And Bert's scared. He's scared and he's angry. He's mad clear through that things are this way.
We've got to have a doctor. We've got to have a doctor closer than 22 miles away.
What seems a long time afterward, the doctor in White City tells Bert that it's going to be all right. Becky is going to have to stay in the hospital for a few days, but it's not as serious as it could be.
Hello, honey. How do you feel?
She's just doing fine. She's one of our prize patients.
But, Daddy, I want to go home.
You can, Becky, in just a few days.
But, Daddy, I want to go home.
Well, you see, you can't right now. There isn't any doctor at home to take care of you.
Why isn't there?
Well, they're trying to get one, I guess, but these things just take time.
And then came the words that stuck with you, Bert Henderson.
Why don't you get us a doctor?
Other people are trying.
But why don't you do it?
Yes, what about it, Bert Henderson? Why don't you get a doctor? If you're waiting for them to do it, they may be waiting for you. This is democracy, Bert. The initiative is yours, remember?
Why don't you get us a doctor? Why don't you get us a doctor? Why don't you get us a doctor?
As Bert goes down to open his hardware store, he looks at his town. Filling stations, feed stores, and markets, the businesses necessary to support the people of the whole area. People who get sick and have babies and break bones and die without a doctor.
It looks like it's up to me, but I've got to have help, lots of it. And where am I going to get it?
As Bert tries to think who could help, he glances toward the village locker plant and the little park which used to be a row of ramshackle frame buildings in the middle of the business district. And that's it. There's his answer. The Kiwanis Club. It was the Kiwanis Club that got those old buildings cleared out and a park put in their place. The Kiwanis Club got the locker plant to come here, too. In Elmdale, the Kiwanis Club is the place to go when you need help.
George? Bert Henderson. Say, doesn't your club meet today? Well, I wonder if I might come down and talk to you fellows for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Why, sure, Bert. Be glad to have you. Oh, why don't you stay and have lunch with us?
No, I don't need to stay to eat. All right, if you want me to. What time is it? Okay, I'll be there. Thanks, George.
Well, Bert, glad to see you. Did you finally decide to come in with us?
I've been trying to get him to join us for years. And then he calls us up and asks see if he can come.
Well, sit down. You've got to eat this stuff while it's hot, or you can't eat it at all.
We've got a little something extra today. Bert Henderson here wants to make us a speech. All right, Bert, it's all yours.
I thought my little girl was going to die a couple of nights ago, and it like to scared me to death. I've lived in this town most of my life, and I know some of you have too, but I never felt so isolated and deserted as I did when I needed to holler for help and there wasn't anybody to holler to. If we don't get a doctor in this town pretty quick, one of us is going to lose a child or his wife or his own life because we don't have anybody here to help us. I asked George Burke to let me come to this meeting because I know what you fellows did when we needed a locker plant in a city park. And this business of finding a doctor isn't one a man can do all by himself. I've looked into it some already. Elmdale's had an application in with the State Medical Society ever since old Doc Martin died. Those fellows are working on it, but we can't expect them to perform miracles. Looks to me like if it's going to be done, it'll have to be by people like you.
Bert Henderson wasn't a speechmaker or a joiner. Until now, he hadn't been much of a participator. But today was a turning point. He had made a speech. He had joined forces with the active members of his community. He was ready to participate, to take his share of getting the job done. It was the longest meeting in the club's history, and out of it came a group of determined citizens. Their determination was voiced in the motion of Pete Billups.
I move that we send a delegation to the Medical Society and find out what they've done on our application. It's not so far to the Capitol that we couldn't go and talk to them. And 5 or 6 of us going to see them in person will cut more ice than an application buried someplace in a file.
I second that motion.
Well, it's a beginning, Bert. There's still a long way to go, but you feel better already, just knowing there are so many others on your side. And so you volunteer to take a day off from the hardware store and to pay out of your own pocket the expense of being one of the delegation to take the trip to the State Medical Society. There's a man at the Medical Society, a Mr. Winters, who may be able to help you.
We've waited quite a while, and we still don't have a doctor. We need one pretty bad, and we're willing to do almost anything to get one.
It's a problem, all right. We've got over 40 applications from towns in this state that don't have doctors. We're doing everything we can to find the man, but it's a tough job.
Well, how about these young fellows coming out of the medical schools? We'd be satisfied with one of them.
Yes, most communities would like to get one of those young doctors, but there's even a problem connected with that. This year, the state medical school will graduate about 80 men, with some of them going into research work and military service, and some of them going into specialized training. We might be able to figure on about 30 doctors going into general practice.
One's all we need.
That's the rub. Those that are available are more than likely to settle in a town larger than yours. You see, it's an economic problem. It takes a good many years and a lot of money for a man or a woman to become a doctor. And it takes a lot more money to start a practice. A man has to pay for a lot of equipment, diagnostic tools. You'd be surprised how much it costs. About all most doctors can do is settle someplace where they'll be pretty sure to be able to take care of those debts. Of course, we'll do the best we can to get you a man, but that's the way it is right now.
Well, is there anything a town like ours can do to make itself attractive to a doctor? Is there anything we can do?
Yes, you might read this. It tells you how a community can make itself attractive to a doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Winters. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. You come back.
Come see us sometime.
All of you gentlemen come back.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Nice to have had you in.
Thank you. Well, what do you think?
There are 30 young doctors that are going to go someplace this year. Might as well put out a little effort and get one of them.
Well, first we better get a line on a man.
Yeah, but we'd just be a name on a list unless we can really show them what a fine place Elmdale is. Really sell them on coming to us.
Well, let's go home and go to work. All right, with me, let's go.
Jim, Ned Winters, State Medical Society. Had some men from Elmdale in this morning looking for a doctor. These articles you've been writing about the need for doctors seem to be doing some good. I thought you might want to follow up on this one. Yeah, Elmdale. Over in the northeast corner of Douglas County. There were 6 of them. George Burke, Bert Henderson, Sam Turner.
The result of Mr. Winters' telephone call was a newspaper article about the delegation's trip to the Capitol. And the article was a stroke of good fortune for the citizens of Elmdale, for it struck home in the residence of one Robert Reed, M.D., in a city not far away.
Gonna let you have the funnies first tonight. I want to look at the baseball scores, okay?
Okay.
Say they put the scores in the other section tonight. You want to trade?
Okay.
Say, did you see this about a doctor in Elmdale?
No, what about it?
Want to trade?
Okay. Elmdale? Where's Elmdale?
Oh, you remember, Madge Smith is from Elmdale. Why don't we look into it? I know you're just dying to have a practice of your own, and this might be a good place to get started.
It might be, but it might be like some of the places we've already looked. No place to live, no place to work. But it might not hurt to find out.
Good.
You know, I don't really dislike what I'm doing, but practicing in an institution isn't family doctoring. I guess I'm just a country doctor at heart.
Then the quicker we get back to the country, the better.
Say, what was the name of one of those fellows in Elmdale? I may as well write.
Well, Bert Henderson is one of them. He seems to be the one the article quotes the most. Come on, kids. Time for bed.
Dear Mr. Henderson, my wife and I have just read an article in this evening's paper concerning your town's need for a doctor. Although I am now engaged in practice in an institution, it has long been my desire to enter private practice, preferably in a small community.
If you haven't found a doctor as yet, I would appreciate the opportunity of talking with you sometime in the near future, and if possible, visiting your community. I would be free to come to Elmdale on any Thursday. If you are still in need of a doctor, please let me know. Sincerely yours, Robert Reed, M.D.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd better get in touch with him right away.
Yes, sir, that's just what I think. How soon can you get the boys together? All right, that's fine. Okay. See you then.
This is their first big break. And now the committee is going to meet to decide how to handle it.
Wait a minute. Let's put all this talk in some kind of order. Bert, you more or less have been the ramrod around here. What do you think we ought to do?
Now, it seems to me that the first thing a man with a family would want to know is, where is he going to live? That's one thing we have to be able to answer. Now, the next thing he'll want to know is, where is he going to work? And the third thing he's going to have an answer for is he going to be able to make enough money to pay his bills? Now, did I leave out anything?
Oh, he'll probably want to know what kind of people we are.
I expect that'll have as much to do with it as anything. But we have to have answers on these other things.
Well, if we've got that much to do, we'd better get started right away. We don't have much time, you know.
All right. As I see it, we've got to find a good place where this doctor might live and a good place where he can work.
Well, let's start looking and asking around and meet tomorrow night at 7:30. Is that all right, everybody?
Okay. And Bert, you better write. No, phone the doctor. We'll pay for the call. Ask him to give us a few days to do a little planning, and then come on down here as soon as you can.
Okay. 7:30 tomorrow night?
Yeah, 7:30. Fine enough for me. Good enough.
And that's how it was in Elmdale. That's how it is in towns and cities all over America. Things get done because individuals do them. Bert Henderson didn't wait for somebody called them to get the job done. He started to work. And now the wheels were beginning to turn. Maybe a doctor is coming to town. If he does, he'll need a place to live and a place to work. All Elmdale was discussing possible places which might do. As it turned out, it was a youngster who suggested the most likely solution.
Mr. Henderson,
Hi, Jack. What can I do for you?
there's a great big house out by the school. I bet it'd be just fine for a doctor.
What house is that, Jack?
You know, it's that old one, the one that hasn't been lived in for a long time.
Oh, yeah. That's the old Pritchard place. I never thought about that. You know, that might be all right. Let's go over and take a look at that.
Okay. You know, I was going by there today, and I thought that looked pretty good.
run down.
Yeah, it doesn't look so good. But we can fix it up. I can get the kids together and we can fix up this yard in practically no time.
By golly, it ought to be big enough. You know, we might be killing two birds with one stone here, Jack. He might be able to have his office here, too. It's got two entrances.
Sure, I'll bet he could.
I believe you've got something here, Jack. I'm going to get the committee on this. Now, as I see it, we've got to raise the money for the down payment. Then the doctor can rent the house, or he can buy it and pay it off as he goes along. We can work out something.
Yeah, I think so. Do you suppose that the doctor will want to have his home and his office in the same place?
Well, Doc Martin did for 50 years. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how the doctor himself feels about that. Now, he'll be down here a week from tomorrow. Sure sounds like a nice fellow on the phone.
A week from tomorrow. That gives us time to contact Fred Soxman and see how he feels about selling the place.
Pete, you ought to take care of the house business down at the bank.
And why don't you get a hold of Fred and see what kind of arrangements we can make on the place?
Okay.
There's-
do that.
You know, there's one thing you haven't thought about, the doctor's wife. She may want to meet the women. And the doctor would like to know what kind of people we are. Don't you think we ought to have some kind of a get-together?
How about a covered dish supper? We could invite the whole town.
Mary, that's your department. You and the other women can make arrangements for the social while we do the rest. We're going to show Doc Reed and his wife that we mean business.
And so the plans were laid, and the men and women of Elmdale worked to carry them out. Fred Soxman was contacted and gave the go-ahead on plans for the house. A committee was appointed to take Dr. Reed on a tour of the town and surrounding countryside. All over Elmdale, there was a spontaneous clean-up, polish-up campaign. The town was determined to put its best foot forward. And finally, the big day arrived. Elmdale was ready for the doctor. The plan was to introduce him to as many people as possible. And each person he met was sincere in a desire to impress the doctor with their need for him. They showed him the town's main street, the heart of their community, representing years of their labor. They took him to the schoolhouse, where the young citizens of Elmdale grew up in the ways of democracy. They showed him the house they had arranged for, and the tentative plans they had made for remodeling it. People of the surrounding farmlands were introduced to the doctor and his wife, giving him an idea of the people who would be his neighbors and friends. And finally, a gesture which rural communities make so well, the covered dish dinner, where all the members of the community came to meet and pay their respects to the visitors. It was a full day.
Well, Doc, how about it? Well, I can't give you a definite yes or no answer right off the bat.
Oh, we didn't expect you to be.
You know, a man has to talk this sort of thing over with his wife. I expect Lucy and I'd better mull things over for a while before we tell you for sure.
Well, Doctor, you just take all the time you like. Then let us know when you're ready.
One thing I can tell you, though, we've never been treated any better than we have been here today. And I've never met a nicer group of people in my life.
And that goes for me, too.
Well, let's go over this again. Now, about the house, my wife...
We'll take care of the house. We'll fix it up the way you want it, and you can rent it or you can buy it. Either way.
Doctor, did I understand you to say that you did not want your office to be in the house? Is that right?
Well, it'd be all right as a temporary thing, but I don't think as a rule a man's business should be conducted from his home.
Well, then we'd have to build you some kind of an office to rent, wouldn't we?
Well, I don't want to seem to be putting you over a barrel.
That's all right, Doc. If that's what you need, that's what we want to get. We need you here.
You'd be just as important to Elmdale as old Doc Martin was. He took care of everybody for miles around.
You sure make it sound attractive.
We hope so, Doc. We hope so.
Elmdale had made its bid. Now the decision was up to the doctor. Elmdale's story is told every day in cities, towns, and villages all over our country. It is a story for all communities, where people work together to govern themselves and care for their wants through community action. It is a story told in all of the thousands of ways that American democracy works out its problems. Through bond issues for new school buildings, through municipal ordinances for new streets or sewers, through off-street parking lots to ease its traffic problems. But more than anything else, it is the remarkable story of the power of the individual to make his life and his government what he wants them to be.
Well, Bert, you did a good job. I wouldn't have thought you could do it.
Well, Sam, there isn't anything you can't do. If you believe in it, it's right, and you go to work on it.
Yes, I guess that's democracy.
Yes, that's democracy.
A Citizen Participates has been brought to you by the doctors in your community and by their county medical society. The assistance given to Bert Henderson and his committee is just one of the many public services performed by the American Medical Association and the medical societies in your state.
This is a story of people, telephone people, and the people they serve every day. People like you. The story is true. Only the names have been changed.
It was Sunday evening. I was in charge of the office. When suddenly, Sally Parsons, one of our new young operators, flashed me. Yes, Sally?
I have an emergency call. A doctor's trying to reach a chemist at the S&Y Chemical Company, but no one answers.
Thanks, I'll take it.
Here's my supervisor now, Doctor.
Doctor, this is Mrs. Cromwell. I'll try to help you.
This is Dr. Michaels at Forest Hospital. I'm trying to reach one of the chemists at the S&Y Chemical Company, 2204 Broad Street. I've called 3 times, but there's no answer.
Shall I try again, Doctor?
No, I'm sure they have no night watchman.
Perhaps there's another listing. Let me check our records.
Fine, thanks.
She's such a good little girl. She was playing so quietly. So quietly, like she always did. We taught her never to eat or drink anything without asking.
Judith, these things happen.
I know better than to leave something like that where it can be reached.
Hello, Dr. Michaels.
Yes, operator?
There's no listing other than the one for the S&Y Chemical Company. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Operator, how do you find someone when you don't know their name, address, or telephone number?
Can you give me more details?
A little girl swallowed some acid by mistake. We gave her a simple antidote at 7:45, but it didn't work. We took an analysis of the stomach content. There are some ingredients in the acid that are poison. We've got to find out what those ingredients are. The laboratory's still trying, but it may take too long. I've got to find someone at the chemical company so we can figure out an antidote.
How much time do we have?
It's 9:15 now. About 2 hours.
Where can I reach you?
I'll be in the emergency room, 510.
I'll do my best, Doctor.
Thank you.
Must be a rough one.
I think I'll help with it, Sally.
Oh, good. Thank you.
2 hours. Unless we can find someone, a needle in a haystack, a little girl will be dead. Night watchman. Night watchman. Maybe they do have a night watchman. Maybe he was just making his rounds when the doctor called. No night watchman. Suddenly, the city seemed bigger than I'd ever thought of it. I'd have to reach into the night, find someone I'd never even heard of. Helen Ross, business office. Try Helen Ross first. Please let her be home, so she can come down, look through her files, orders, somehow find the name of someone from the chemical company. Not home. Fred Stewart, plant department supervisor. Try him next.
Hello?
Fred, Mary Cromwell. I'm sorry to bother you on a Sunday night.
No bother, Mary. Just having a couple of friends in.
Fred, something desperately important has come up, an emergency. A doctor is trying to find a chemist with the S&Y chemical. I told him that we had to beat time, that a little girl's life depended on us, that there wasn't much time left, that I'd checked his repair service files, found nothing. He said he would leave right away and be down at the office just as soon as possible. Fred was going to look through his equipment records. Nothing, he thought, could tell us anything except telephone locations. Nothing, he thought, would carry a name, but anything was worth a chance.
Hello, Mary. I think I found something.
Fred, what is it?
There's a name on a PBX blueprint, a Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, that's all?
That's all. Mr. Miller. No first name. Shows him as an extension user.
We're lucky. There's usually nothing like this on the blueprint of a switchboard.
Fred, do you know how many Millers there are in the directory?
Sure, a couple of hundred, maybe. Would take hours. I don't know where else we could look, Mary. This is Sunday.
You know, I checked, and there are no residences in that area. They're all factories and offices. Now, do you suppose one of them might have a night watchman?
Well, that's an idea, Mary. They might know Miller's first name.
Yes. Thanks very much, Fred.
I'll stick around in case I can do something.
Thanks. I called information. I got telephone numbers of 3 factories surrounding the chemical plant. I tried one, then another, then all 3 at the same time. One of the factories had to have a night watchman. There was nothing to do but wait. But even if I got a night watchman, would he know who Mr. Miller was? Would he know?
How much more time?
Well, maybe an hour.
An hour?
A minute's a long time now. If only the lab could identify those ingredients.
All right. Yes?
Hello. Acme Manufacturing Company?
Acme? Sure, that's right.
This is Mrs. Cromwell of the telephone company. It's a matter of life and death that we find the first name of a Mr. Miller who works at the S&Y Chemical Company.
S&Y Chemical? Oh, sure, it's right next door, but he's no open now.
Yes, I know. Please, do you know Mr. Miller who works there?
Miller? Mr. Miller? Let me see. Mr. Miller seems to me, Mr. Miller, I guess,
We've got to know Mr. Miller's first name. A little girl's life depends on Mr. Miller's first name.
A little girl, she's sick? You want to first the name of Mr. Miller? He's a nice man. He's the boss from the chemical.
Do you know him, sir? Do you know his first name?
His first name, you want to know the first name of Miller? Is like, Pietro, Paolo, Pepito. I'm not so good for names. I don't know. Wait. Un momento. You call up my boss, Mr. Swanson. His telephone number is, Klondike 69970. You call him up, he know Mr. Miller.
Yes, thanks. Thanks very much. I called Mr. Swanson. Mr. Miller's first name was Paul, president of the chemical company. Mr. Miller gave me the name of his chief chemist. I connected him with Dr. Michaels.
Yes, Doctor. That's the basic ingredient, all right. But this is what we've added.
11 o'clock. I was afraid to move, to leave. Maybe we could beat time. Maybe we could beat death. Finally, I called the hospital.
Now, something's wrong. The formula the chemist gave me doesn't seem to be right.
Stay on the line, Doctor. I got Mr. Miller again. Called Jim Hawkins, his chief chemist. Put them on the same line with the doctor.
Hello?
Mr. Miller?
Yes? That you, Paul? Yes. Jim? What is it?
This is the operator. I have Dr. Michaels on the line.
Something wrong, Doctor?
The antidote didn't seem to work. Caused more vomiting, but her condition didn't change.
Look on the label. Is there a number on the bottom of it?
Yes, 209Y.
That's the old formula, Jim. Uh-huh. We changed that 3 years ago. I gave you the antidote for the new formula, Doctor. Here's the antidote we have for the old formula.
Laurie? Darling.
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Michaels.
Oh, it's you, operator. I was hoping you'd call.
Doctor, the little girl, is she all right?
Oh, she's fine. Progressing steadily.
Thank the operator for me, please.
Little girl's mother wants me to thank you. Laurie live.
I'm so glad it worked out, Doctor.
Well, thanks. You've been a great help to us. What is your name?
It's Mrs. Cromwell. Mary Cromwell.
Well, thanks again, Mrs. Cromwell. Good night.
Good night, Doctor. Is everything all right? Ah, fine. Good.
Initiative, resourcefulness, a devotion to duty help save a life.
This is Mrs. Cromwell. May I help you?
This telephone employee received a Silver Veil Medal Award.
Yes.
a symbol of the telephone company's recognition of noteworthy public service.